when properties are flying off the inventory very quickly, it's not something that a typical homeowner pays attention to on a daily, day-to-day basis, not especially when they are in some kind of distress, because as a wholesaler, you're only dealing with properties in distress, right? That's all you're dealing with, right? I would hope so, right? So that's all you should be dealing with, at least, right? That kind of person could care less about what the property is worth. So what you want to do is the same thing. You go in the market, you pull the comps, and pull the comps 6 months. When the market is unstable, you want to be a little bit more sophisticated when you're pulling the comps, right? Sometimes, depends on the market, I may say pull only 3 months worth of comps. Sometimes I say pull longer. If the market is unstable and prices are skyrocketing, I would say pull 9 months. If the market is unstable and market is crashing, I would say pull 3 months. In a very stable market, you want to pull 6 months comparables so that you can. All right, inventory lasting only 1 hour. What does this mean? Why should you care about this as a wholesale real estate professional? Why should you care when people start to say properties are only lasting 1 hour in the inventory? There's no inventory. What does this mean to you? Okay, what does this mean to you directly and indirectly? Before we get into that, what is wholesale real estate? Wholesale real estate is the heart and science of finding deeply discounted properties. I've said that for so long that at this point in time it should be second nature, but this is hard work. I do that for you anyway. So it's the heart and science of finding deeply discounted properties, locking it up under a contract, and then selling the rights in that contract to an end buyer, a cash buyer, investor. And by doing so, you make money, what we call assignment fee, because you'll be assigning the right in that contract to an end buyer. And then by doing so, you can do that over and over again, and also ultimately be able to build your own portfolio of rental properties. It's a beautiful thing to engage in. It's very lucrative. The highest I've made from any single one deal is $82,000. Still trying to beat that record, but I average about $15,000 to $35,000. Depends. I've walked out of a deal with nothing before, so just keep that at the back of your mind, but it's a very lucrative business because each one deal can mean the whole world, so you can change your life. Okay. All right. Now, with that being said, what does it mean when realtors or real estate agencies inventory lasting only 1 hour or a short period of time on the market? So the houses that are listed in the market for sale right now, what we call the active listings that are listed on the MLS, the multiple listing system, they are houses on the market, right? They're active listings, right? They're basically available to be seen and to be potentially purchased by buyers, right? So imagine they listed a property on the market. 1 hour later, the status has changed from active to sold. Okay, that's what it means, right? So I guess this is good news, right? But it's good news for who, right? So it's good news definitely for the listing agent. It's good news for the buyer's agent because they just made commission. It's good news for the seller, right? It's also good news for sellers in a lot of ways, because if houses are lasting only 1 hour in the inventory, that means people can start outbidding each other, which means the property can command a lot more money, right? So that could be a good thing. Now, why could this be a bad thing, right? It can create an unstable market, okay? Because again, when houses don't last more than 1 hour in inventory, it tells me that there's a lot of emotions in the market, a lot more emotions that we would like, because it creates an unstable place, because people start to outbid each other. It creates like this fluff of a balloon type of bubble in the market, in market value, and it's not sustainable. Okay, if it's not sustainable, it's bad for buyers, because buyers don't necessarily know if they're overpaying for a piece of property, right? The buyers is also usually operating in their emotions. Greed creeps in, right? The fear of missing out, right? FOMO, right? And they can potentially overpay for a piece of property. So now for you as a wholesale real estate, what does that look like? It can mean a few things, right? Usually when inventory is flying off like that, when properties are flying off the inventory very quickly, It's not something that a typical homeowner pays attention to on a daily, day-to-day basis, not especially when they are in some kind of distress, because as a wholesaler, you're only dealing with properties in distress, right? That's all you're dealing with, right? I would hope so, right? So that's all you should be dealing with, at least, right? That kind of person could care less about what the property is worth. So what you want to do is the same thing. You go in the market, you pull the comps, and pull the comps 6 months. When the market is unstable, you want to be a little bit more sophisticated when you're pulling the comps, right? Sometimes, depends on the market, I may say pull only 3 months worth of comps. Sometimes I say pull longer. If the market is unstable and the prices are skyrocketing, I would say pull 9 months. If the market is unstable and market is crashing, I would say pull 3 months. In a very stable market, you want to pull 6 months comparables, so that you can really measure the market, so you can see, so you don't overpay or have your client overpaying for a property. Now, for you as a wholesaler, when you're putting an offer for a property, when you're putting an offer for a piece of property, you don't want to be in a situation where you lock up a property with a contract and you have to go back and say, I'm sorry, the price was too high on the contract. Eventually, if you do enough of this, you will have bad reputation in the market. Okay, people will know your name and they will say you're putting wrong offers on a piece of property, and then only to let down the sellers without closing on the deals. You don't want to be in this space. You don't want to be that person. Okay, that's basically putting offers on properties and you can't close, right? So you want to be this is why this will affect you. So you have to do a little bit more scrutiny, a little bit more of looking at the comparables closer. Again, if for this particular situation, inventory only lasting 1 hour, I would definitely say look at comps all the way back to 9 months, not just 6 months, because typically the market will not just keep doing that for much longer. And then you want to measure you want to do your ARV, measuring the market, the fair market value from that standpoint. Okay, 1 mile radius has to be stricter. Okay, so keep it 1 mile. Don't go 1.1 mile radius or go 1.5. Keep it within 1 mile radius or less from the piece of property, and then definitely expand that out to 9 months to make sure that you're not just putting an offer on a property based off of an inflated market value over the past 2-3 months alone. And this is how this is going to affect you. So could this be a good thing? It's not an absolute. It depends on what market we're talking about. But these are the insights you want to have about how market values work, generally speaking. Okay. All right. So hopefully that was